Zoom likes to do. All right, fantastic. Today, three high impact automation tactics you can set up today. No new tools required. Most businesses don't need more automation, they just need fewer things done manually. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We are Nate and Simone, and we talk all things marketing. Welcome. Before we jump into it, remember to subscribe to this channel so that you'll see us more often and our this content will go out to more people, right? Because more people need to know about these things, don't they? So, hey, how you doing, Nate? Let's jump
Hey, all
in.
right. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everybody out there.
Happy New Year.
Well, I guess that doesn't make this timely or green, but okay, that's fine. Um,
It is what it is. It's 2026
yeah,
and it's our first show of 2026 and we're happy you're here.
yep. Yeah, so automation, this is topic that I'm fond of. I know you are.
I'm fond of as well.
We're using automation pretty heavily in each of our businesses and for clients and that kind of thing. And there's a reason why, it's stuck around and it's becoming bigger and bigger, right? Because, at least it is a way to save time, save effort. But the important thing to keep in mind here is that we're not trying to replace people necessarily. We're just trying to eliminate some repeatable decisions, take off that cognitive load, reduce friction where possible, just make things move smooth like a well-oiled machine,
Yeah.
think of it that way.
And one thing I do want to make a note of, and it may be a little bit off topic for today, but um, automation and AI are actually two different things. They are not
Yeah.
the same.
Yep.
I think of automation as a delivery vehicle. You can have your AI, you can have your AI create content for you, draft draft email, social media posts, blog posts, whatever you want it to do. And then you need an automation vehicle to actually deliver it to the people that need to see it. So I tend to look at automation as the train that carries your message to where you want it to go. Um,
Nice. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a good
So
analogy.
yeah, thank you. I came up with that all on my own. so,
uh,
so so let's talk about it. So in the
yeah.
at the top, we said most businesses don't need more automation. They need fewer things done manually. And that's the truth, isn't it? When it comes to our business, we're not necessarily looking for I don't hear a lot of business owners say, I need automation, I need automation, I need automation. What they really are looking for is more time. They need less things done manually.
Mm.
They need less stress on themselves and their team. And automation can be the solution to provide that.
Absolutely, absolutely. If we're going to tie it into, the concepts of the V3 growth system, your automation helps increase your visibility because it helps with your consistency, being consistent, like on social media, for example. Um, there's various other ways to be more consistent as well. Email, keeping in contact, etc. Without extra effort, without manual effort, right? There's the
Right.
viability portion where there's fewer dropped balls overall because we're limiting those manual follow-ups. You don't have to remember it, right? Mine like a sieve, instead of a steel
Right.
trap, as most of us have nowadays. But um, and you're
Well, we
helping
have
to,
so much coming at us, right? It's hard
yeah,
to remember everything.
yeah,
So
exactly. Good grief.
um, we
Yeah.
want to automate the remembering.
The miracle that most people make it to work, let alone have to remember everything, right? Um,
Exactly.
So, and then also we're talking about the valuation, right? Businesses that have clean systems that run automatically, automagically, are easier to scale and sell. Who wouldn't
Yeah.
want a business that runs itself almost, right?
Absolutely.
Um, so yeah, it's
So
just
today
lots
we're
of
sharing
wins.
we're going to talk about three automations that you can set up in under 15 minutes each using tools you probably already are using. So
Yeah.
let's get into it.
Yeah. Why? So, all right. The first thing to talk about is when automation actually makes sense. Um, Unfortunately, as it turns out, a lot of business owners, when they jump into this, they tend to automate maybe some wrong things. You know,
Um,
uh, I can't think of any good example off the top of my head, but maybe they're more concerned about, and maybe it has more to do with like what's easy, to automate. Automation can be there's various levels of automation, right?
yeah.
There's there's some automations that are pretty darn complex. It could be, but
Well, and then there's
there are
also
some,
things too that may not even you're doing it because it's trendy or it's a cool new tool,
yeah,
but it doesn't actually move the needle in your business. It's not actually helping
yeah,
you.
there you go. Yeah,
So
exactly.
um,
Um,
yeah, so you don't want to do that.
the rule of thumb, according to there's a pretty famous business maven out there named Cody Sanchez. She's one of
Oh,
my personal favorites. And
shout out to
she
Cody.
says, yeah, she says that if you've done something manually more than 3 times, then that is a candidate for automation. So if that helps you to narrow things down quickly, think through something that you've done more than 3 times.
Yeah, you're
But
already doing it's probably essential to your business.
yeah,
So
the
you
key
might want
thing
to automate
here, the key thing here to remember is something that we talked about earlier today with AI, but it also applies to automation in this case. Automation does not replace thinking. Same as AI. AI does not replace thinking. Okay. Um, and automation is not lipstick on a pig. It's not trying to make something that's broken and ugly underneath look pretty. So there's only so much that it can do, right? If the process underneath it is broken, your automation isn't going to do much for it, in other words.
Absolutely.
Um,
And I think that it's also good to remember that we as the humans, we as the founders are should remain in control at all times.
yeah.
We're just allowing the automation to do the repeatable, repetitive tasks that so that we don't, that frees up our time and we can do the things that the thinking, the human things that only we can do.
Hmm.
Um, and that's not just for you as the founder; it's also for you as your team.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, we're not necessarily talking about getting rid of the humans, but the
Hmm.
automation can actually help the humans be more effective and faster, and eliminate human errors.
Yeah, ask yourself, here's some questions to ask yourself. What do you repeatedly forget to do? That's a good one. What happens inconsistently depending on who's involved? So this is where, maybe you want to put your heads together with the team, right? Um, what requires zero judgment once it's triggered? That might take a little bit more thought and consideration, but basically the idea is, there's effort to get to the point where, the human judgment has made the decision to do something, to implement something, to start something. Um, would it be easier to just have that automated so that you don't necessarily have that cognitive load and you don't have to worry about whatever comes next occurring because it's automatically triggered, right?
Right.
That kind of thing. That's what we're talking about. Okay, so with that in mind, let's get into the three automations that can actually benefit your business, and you can set them up today. If you are familiar with various automation platforms out there, no code automation platforms, there's varying sophistication around that. We could probably do a whole video just on automation platforms. But
Oh my goodness, believe me. I've
yeah,
I've done a lot of I'm working on a building out a new app now and just the sheer number of tools out there to help
Yeah.
you to
Yeah.
automate what you're doing.
It's really
It's
overwhelming.
amazing. But most
Yeah.
of the time, most of us probably already um, have some tools in place for what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
And and if you don't, you've probably heard of some of the tools that you can use. So
And
our first tactic,
by the way, if you want some more info on that, please get in touch, with us. We're
absolutely,
happy to talk it through.
happy
All
to
right.
help.
Um, so the first one is to let's take an email and we'll turn it
Mhm.
into a week of social content.
Or a blog post or a video, maybe some long form piece of content. You can take it and repurpose it
Yeah.
into a whole week of social media content. So what does that help us to do?
Well, and uh, let's see here. Special. Okay. Well, anyway, we've had this conversation before about repurposing content, and I'm sure we will
Mhm.
again. But basically, some of the things that you're avoiding or the problems that you're solving here is content fatigue. You know, you're out there, oh my gosh, what do I need to produce here this week? I have all these other things I need to worry about. I'm kind of, uh, burned out on the whole thing. Well, this kind of helps eliminate that because you're already doing one thing, so let's take that one thing and make it many. That's kind of the idea. um, it helps you
And
to combat inconsistency in your posting because remember, automation is great for helping to create consistency because it's automated, right?
right,
Um, and you also avoid being redundant in your writing
you're
and that
writing,
kind of
yeah.
thing. Or maybe um, overkill when it comes to content creation. Why stress yourself out over creating something, wholly new and different? Why not just kind of make it, thematically related to what you're already doing? Just kind of make a different version, slightly altered, something along those lines. You're already doing it. Let's just kind of reshape it, right?
And from a marketing perspective, it also helps with that 7-11-4. Remember that framework, that was it Google that came up with it? Um, it helps to have that 7 hours of 7 hours of contact with you, 11 touches
Mm,
over four different platforms. So
mm,
if you
yeah,
are repurposing content in different ways, text, images, videos, and you're putting them out there on even on the same platform
yeah,
or multiple platforms, then and remember your email and your text messages are also a platform. So if you're focused on, say, just email or just Facebook or just LinkedIn as your social media platform, you also have your email and your text messages and webinars and phone calls as well, as part of that count in those platforms. So um,
yeah. And
people are seeing their messages multiple times, and
yeah, and
that helps to build know, like, and trust.
yes, and it's a consistency in the message as well, right? You
Yes.
are sort of like amplifying the original message on different platforms, but kind of morphing it in to fit the different platforms. Same message, just saying it a different way, maybe helps to kind of amplify and everything, kind of create that feedback loop, right? Um,
Mhm.
that's kind of the idea. And so what you can do here is you create an automation that triggers to send a newsletter, for example. And when that newsletter is sent, and this can be, yeah, so when that newsletter gets sent, the content from that, believe it or not, in these automation, no code automation platforms like Zapier, for example, you can there's different things you can do here with that, but you can actually take the email that gets sent and a copy of it goes to Zapier. and there's an email parser in there. And this is a paid, yeah, you're gonna have to pay for Zapier on this, it's a paid subscription, but it will parse that email. Uh, Basically, what that means is just it breaks it down and tells Zapier what the contents of the email are. Then you can take the content of that and run it through the AI inside Zapier that's already there, set up,
Mhm.
and tell the AI inside Zapier, take these concepts and create 3 to 5 social posts, right? Based on these concepts in this newsletter. And then you can have your social media uh, tied into Zapier, and it will
Right.
send out the
And it
posts.
just does the posting for you.
Yeah,
So you don't even have to worry about that part.
yeah. Um, and lo and
What a
behold,
time saver.
all you had to do was create that first email, and then poof, right? You didn't have to go through and figure out what you wanted to put on all that. It's just, oh, it just does it for you. Pretty cool, right?
Maybe auto magically is the right word.
Yeah, yeah, automatically. Um,
So there are
so
some tools that you can use to do
yeah,
this. So we mentioned Zapier. Zapier is a connector that connects platforms together. So you can say you had your email platform, like Mailchimp or one of the other email platforms that where you send your email out. And then you connect Zapier to that. Zapier says, well, when this email gets posted or gets sent, take it and move it over to the AI platform that will generate your the different types of posts for you for your social media, and then it sends that off to to Buffer, Hootsuite, or one of the other tools
yeah,
that will actually that will automatically schedule it to go out on your social media. Now you have to think of it. You have to think of the flow that you want it to have at the start, at the beginning, and then set it up. And then once it's set up, it's done.
mhm,
How wonderful is that? Um, I use a platform where I don't necessarily have to use Zapier because I use a platform where everything, the email platform and the social media tools and the AI are actually built into it. So um, it's all built into one. And if you want to know more about that, let me know because
yeah,
it can actually save you on costs if it's all in an all-in-one platform.
yeah. Um, exactly. And I mean, you can actually inside Zapier, you can actually create agents that will do the posting for you.
Mm.
There's
So
different
then you don't
ways.
need Hootsuite or Buffer event.
Potentially
Very
not.
cool.
Yeah, there's a way you can kind of cut down on those kind of tools as well. So, because
Okay,
some of
cool.
these, I ain't gonna lie, some of these social media tools, because they know how much time they're saving you,
Yeah,
they do, you're gonna pay for
it
it.
can get expensive.
But
Exactly.
the
Mm,
the theory there is it's cheaper to pay for something like that that automates it and helps make your life easier than it is to pay a social media agent or agency, right, to do it for you, right? So that's kind of
right. And yeah, and
the
that's what a
theory
lot of the
behind it, I
social
think.
media agencies do. They don't necessarily help you with social media strategy. Um,
Yeah,
they just post. And
yeah, and
well,
they're
if you
using the same
already know
tools.
what you want to post, then just tell AI to do it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, all right, so basically the setup here is you're going to write your email as the source of truth, like that is the central kernel of the campaign that you want to run. You're going to maybe copy those key sections into a template, right? Create a template in your email builder, whatever that is, so you can just kind of copy and paste ideas that you have. Maybe you've written them out so elsewhere, maybe you've used AI to help you write it, and you're just going to copy it and put it into the template that you've created. Again, that's another key time saving feature in my mind. Um, uh, and then schedule that out, right? Schedule that email out so that it goes out and everything everything kind of unfolds from there. So you have your one message that you created, but you have many different touch points along the way. And so that's helping to increase your visibility, which is, one of the three V's we talk about a lot, without putting too much more stress on you, right? So sounds like
Yeah.
a winner. Um,
Yeah. So that's
yeah,
the crux of it is you end up with consistent messaging, which beats constant creation. And your automation protects your message clarity because it's duplicating the message in different formats and gives it helps people to learn from you in the way that they like to learn. Some people like video, some people like to read, some people want podcasts, they want to listen to different things. And so having the automation and AI tools put together, built out, that create that generate your message in different formats
yeah,
just helps you to target people in the way that they like to learn the best.
yeah. Maybe some people don't pay attention to email newsletters. Maybe they just trash them right away, but they're on Facebook all the time, so they see that your post, and they get the
Yeah,
message anyway, right? So I think
absolutely.
that's the key there. All right, so let's go to the next idea here, next tactic. Sending out an instant thank you plus a what's next step for your new signups, your new customers. Part of your onboarding process, which is a much bigger process most likely, but we can get into that at another time. I hope you're getting the theme here, though, that each of these tactics is part of a bigger picture strategy, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But um, the problem that you're solving here by sending that thank you right after they sign up for you, maybe set it up. Well, we can talk about the trigger, but you're eliminating that dead air. They talk about that on the radio a lot, right? You don't want dead air. Got
You
to
don't
fill
want
that
dead air.
space. Um,
Yeah. And when you're onboarding, you don't want them thinking, you also don't want them thinking, oh,
did I
why did I get this?
did I
Or
make the
having
right
any kind of
decision here?
buyer's
Yeah.
remorse. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So give them that next step right afterwards. No dead air.
Yeah. It kind of you're almost creating the illusion of white glove, high touch service with whatever service you're providing, you know?
Well, actually, it's not an illusion. It's real high touch
Yeah.
service because
Well, I
um
guess I guess I'm thinking like the illusion that you are manually sending it
that
out. So
you're or
that's the
yeah,
illusion, but
that's true. Right.
yeah.
That you're
Yeah.
doing it personally. Um
Yeah.
there is one thing that I like to tell my people. I like to tell them that the automation doesn't make things impersonal. If it feels impersonal to your clients and customers, it's because you set it up that way. If those messages feel impersonal to them, it's because you wrote it that way. The automation doesn't make it impersonal. The automation makes sure that what you want gets delivered. That's what the automation does for you.
Yeah. Um, you're also helping to avoid missed momentum, right? You got this ball rolling because they finally pulled the trigger. They're a paying customer now, and let's just keep it going. Okay, there's things that need to get done in order for you to help to complete the work that you need to complete, right? That they paid you for. Maybe there's a project that needs kicked off, so you need information to help speed things along. You need access to certain accounts and whatever that may be. So this is a great time for that to happen because you need to let them know what happens next, right? And then just keep going from there. You're trying to avoid having a weak first impression because you only get one chance to make
Right.
the good first impression, right? So
And it also makes sense to from a client's perspective, it looks like you've thought this process through. You have a clear path to their
yeah,
success.
that really contributes to a feeling of confidence in you, right? You know what
Yes.
you're doing. They feel
They
that
feel like they're in good
reinforces their
hands.
trust in you.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
I'm in good
Um,
hands. They've thought about
yeah,
this. They've put together a system that I'm following. And so yeah, I'm in good hands. I feel confident now.
yep.
Yeah.
So the trigger here is you get a new email subscriber, for example. They're
Or you
subscribing to
get a
your newsletter,
purchase. Mhm. Yeah.
or you get a purchase, right? And there's
Hmm.
either way, they have joined your orbit and are along for the ride at this point. And so you want to make sure that you are taking advantage of that as much as possible and giving a great impression every time as much as possible. Okay. Um, and the action here that is so you're triggering based on the new email subscriber form submission. Somebody made a purchase. And then the action is there's an immediate personalized thank you email with a clear next step. And Simone can speak to personalization because I know she's really big into that. But using the person's first name, please use that
Yeah.
at the
And
very
that's
least.
yeah, that's the very least you can do
Yeah,
as far
yeah,
as personalizing. That should be kind of standard across the board ultimately.
yeah. Hmm.
But then there's also other personalization you can do, say based on what they've purchased. So you can write a message thanking them or welcoming them and giving them next step for that particular purchase, not just your whole your whole suite of services
Yeah.
as a whole or anything like that. Um, so yeah, personalization is very important. And this is where what I was talking about when it comes down to your automation is just going to deliver what you tell it to deliver. So the automation isn't impersonal. The message is maybe what's impersonal. So make sure that it's actually being triggered based on their particular action and not
Yeah.
just generally. That
And
means that you have to have forethought about your process and where people are in your process in your
just what I
system.
was going to say, just what I was going to say, this is where you need to have your offer figured out, right?
Hmm.
What is it that you're doing for them exactly, right? And knowing that and knowing what path you're taking them down allows you to create these automations because this is what you need to do and that what you need from them to get the job done, right?
Right.
If you don't know that, if it's constantly
Hmm.
being customized every time, you know, yeah,
And
you're running
it's
into some issues there potentially.
yeah, then it's hard to put together a system that's repeatable if
Yeah,
everything changes and everything is
not
customized.
impossible, not impossible. It's
It's not
possible, but
impossible, but it is harder.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so when it comes to tools for this, all you really need is an email platform and a tool that you use to collect information, like
yeah,
forms. So
yeah.
they fill out the form, they get an email, they get a response where you send them links, you send them next steps, you send them whatever it is you're going to send them. So
You
doesn't
believe
take a whole lot to
I actually
pull this one
saw
off.
a company recently, and I'm testing it out currently, but all they do is forms. And you
Hmm.
create forms, all kinds of forms, anything form that you can imagine. And then you take the code and put it on your website, for example, or it can be kind of its own thing, freestanding. You build it in the platform, then you kind of automate where the information goes from there. But there's uh, a lot of different ways to make forms. I'll just say sometimes, I'd say probably 95% of the time, the email platform that you're using has its own form that you can use on your website. So
Mhm.
there's that. Um,
So this is my tip about forms is only collect the information that you need. Sometimes I see people are asking, they have these long forms and they're just collecting all this information. And, if you're doing a lead magnet, you're delivering a lead magnet, you need their name, their email address, and possibly their phone number. If you're not texting them, you don't necessarily need their phone number either. Um, but keep the form as simple as possible and only ask for the information that you need. If you're onboarding, only ask for the information that you need. Um, I like to use tools where it fills in the information that you already have, and the person can fill in the rest. And in that way, I'm all about removing friction. If I already have your information, I don't need you to put it in again, right? I want to make it as easy for my clients as possible. So yeah, if you have if you can use a form tool that will fill in the information that you already have, then that makes life easier on your new clients or on your
Yeah.
person. So yeah, and people are privacy conscious. So if don't ask for if you're sending them something through email, then don't ask them for a full address, right? So
Mhm.
that's my tip about forms.
Yeah, good. Okay. So to set this up, um, you're going to want to write a good, strong confirmation email that, signifies that you received their contact information. You're looking forward to getting started with them, something along those lines. Thank you for, obviously you're going to say thank you in there. Good idea. It's, but then you also want to include what they just signed up for, what to expect next, one simple action that they need to take next. So watch a video, read a book, or excuse me, read something on your website, book a call, reply back to the email, something along those lines,
Yeah.
whatever that may
Sign up
be.
for or put the event on your calendar, come to the
Yeah.
event, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give them, it has to be well thought out. What do they do next?
And
So
again,
this goes back to momentum.
this is yeah, yeah. And again, I'll just, this is
Mhm.
part of the big picture, right? Like this is a tactic, it's not the strategy. You've already thought the strategy out, and this is how you kind of implement it. Part of how you implement it. And so what, yeah, like Simone said, why this works is because you are thinking about keeping the momentum going, right? Um, and you're trying to set the expectation, um, set the example, right? Like this is how I communicate, this is how I do things. You're in good hands, you made the right decision.
And they
And
also know what they're responsible for and what you're
yeah,
going to do.
yeah. You can also, by the way, I'll just interject, you can also automate like the creation of contracts and that kind of thing. So
Mhm.
something to think about. So if we go back to the V3 system, right, viability, having a clear follow-up process helps reduce client churn and drop off, right? They pay you, and then they go silent, or maybe they feel the same way, right? I pay them and now like they've ghosted me. I don't know what's going on. You want to avoid that. And then thinking that also that having a system in place, especially that's automated, helps save you having to remember it, and that again reducing that cognitive load so that you can concentrate on other things that are way more important and strategic. So,
Mhm.
all right. Next, the third one. Um, let's automate our internal alerts, especially if someone is signaling that they have a high intent and they are ready to buy from us maybe.
Mhm.
Doing this, you're solving the problem of having hot leads that go cold because you just didn't get in contact with them at the right time. Maybe there's a delayed response from you to them or vice versa. Trying to minimize that as much as possible. You want to seem like you're on the ball and keeping all the plates spinning, right? um, because ultimately you could be missing revenue here, and you don't want to do that. Um, and the trigger in this case is we have a high intent behavior. So going back to what we just talked about, somebody filled out a form, right? They signed up for your newsletter. That's high intent, you know.
Mhm.
They have viewed a page that has your pricing on it, or obviously they have signed up for a meeting with you, a booking
Yeah.
of some kind. It's pretty high
Or
intent
maybe
stuff.
they're on the chat bot on your website and they ask
Yes. Oh
a
yeah,
ton of
yeah,
questions. Person who's asking a ton of questions, they're probably very interested.
yeah. And the odds are that it's not a chatbot asking questions. It's not an AI, crawler asking
Well,
those
yeah,
questions. It's actually a person.
if they're asking a bunch of questions, then yes, that they're probably a human, but your AI system should be asking them for their name, email
Yeah.
address. Let me have somebody get back to you. Seems like you have a lot of questions.
Hmm.
Let's set up a call or let's get you a demo, something.
Yep. And so that leads to the action, which is an instant internal notification. A lot of times, what I do is I will have, you know, my email, email automation system will send me an email when someone signs up for, my newsletter, for example. And the email subject line says new email newsletter subscriber. And it'll give their contact information and all that kind of stuff in the body of the email so that I have that on hand. It'll actually show me like what page, they booked from and that kind of stuff. So important information, good stuff to know.
Oh,
Maybe you want that internal notification to go to a certain individual who's responsible for that particular thing, right? You can do routing at that point. There's different ways that you can route those messages to the appropriate person so that that person is notified and then they become engaged and are aware that this is a new client who is or someone who is interested in something and they can follow up with them and start that sales process, whatever that may look like. So lots of different things you can do with that. But
absolutely. It's
key
great
point
if
here
you have
is,
like a bigger team,
yeah,
the right
yeah.
people are getting the right messages and the right people are following up with
Yeah,
you
and they
know,
can't say that nobody told me, right?
right.
Yeah.
Hmm, everything
All
gets
right.
logged. Huh.
Yeah. So the things you're going to need here, you're going to need an email platform of some kind, email automation platform. Maybe you have Slack or it's just to use simple email notifications. You can use Google Chat is another one
Mhm.
that I've used before as well.
I use
So
SMSs. I have an SMS notification
SMS,
that goes
that's
to
a
me
great one. Yeah,
when I have 5 minutes before a meeting is supposed to start.
yeah, yep. Yeah, and that especially that one's like a 98% read rate, right? So
Yeah.
if you really want somebody to know, and then if it's, you know, extremely important information for someone to have, then by golly, that's a great way to do it.
SMS is a great
Um,
way to go.
yeah, so all right. And the way to set it up here. So you're going to think about one or two actions that signal real intent. So we gave you some ideas, but maybe it's different for your situation. It's up to you to kind of figure that out. Um, and again, you have already thought through the process. You know what your offer is. You know what high intent signal is, right? Because you've thought this through. And you're going to route those alerts to the right person. If it's just you, then obviously that makes that easy.
You're gonna get all the
Um,
notifications.
yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
the cool thing about that is that you can kind of, in most cases, it's pretty relatively easy to slip somebody in there, and change it around if you need to. So
Yeah.
oftentimes that's pretty simple.
That's the best thing. That's one of the best things about having these automated systems already set up and in place is that you can swap out one person and just put another person in, and the system
Yeah.
keeps working.
But you already have the scaffolding, right? You're just changing maybe some of the certain uh, functional components, one or two things here and there, but not the whole thing, right? That's key. It's modular, you know. Um,
Exactly.
and like I said, I like to include context, not just notification. I like to include like the person's name, where they were coming from, Maybe whether they sent a message with that sign up, something along those lines, so I can have it right there
You
in my
were
email. Boom.
You were telling me about a tool the other day that when somebody schedules a call with you, your AI system can go out and search the web, search
Oh yeah.
LinkedIn, and pull in all this information about this
Yeah.
person. So by the time that
Yeah.
you get on the meeting with them, you know a lot about them. And so that
Yeah.
conversation ends up being that much more fruitful. So
Yeah. Oh,
your
absolutely.
systems can do more than just notify you. It can provide a lot of context, using
And,
AI. Um,
and
you can
and
have it like
it saves you the grunt work of
100
having to
times.
do that. You know,
Yeah,
that's,
yeah,
that's I can't imagine how much time I've saved because I've had that set up. And by the way, that is a Zapier agent that does that for me. So that's set up
wonderful.
through Zapier. But yeah, it goes out and does the research, finds as much information about that individual as it can, and puts it into a Google message and sends it to my Google message, and I get an alert at 9 a.m. every morning for my entire calendar that day, who I'm meeting with.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's
I
not
like
it's
that.
not always 100% accurate, I will say that. So this is where, don't allow AI to do your thinking for you. Always, double check. But it's probably 95% accurate or more. It's pretty darn good.
That's
Um,
wonderful.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And what a great tool. So now these notifications when they show up, there's it's not just okay, a name and uh, you know, a name and a phone number, but you know a little bit more about what's happening before you can work much more effectively and efficiently.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, so the key thing here, you are increasing your speed to a possible conversion, right? You're again, you can focus your attention on what really matters instead of getting bogged down in the details all the time. And this is type of stuff that you might have hired a secretary for in the past, where maybe now that person who would normally have done that and got bogged down in those tasks has more time to do other tasks that can, free up your time. So we're not trying to replace people here necessarily, but these types of things, like this is the future, people. This is where AI is going. The menial, repetitive tasks like this that are process oriented, involving internet sleuthing and research and that kind of stuff. This is where AI is going to shine, I think. And these
Yeah.
agents and building these agents, I mean, it's going to augment your staff and increase your capacity. I see good things coming in the pipe in that regard. I think 2026 is going to be a big year for that kind of thing. So stay on the lookout. But um, but I would not recommend buying stock in AI. Anyway, all right. So let's tie it back into the V3 system. We're talking about viability and value, right? So having better follow-up equals higher close rates. Obviously, that's going to lead to better revenue, higher revenue. And again, who wants to buy a business that doesn't have that predictability in the revenue, right? So you're creating responsive systems that are helping to increase trust uh, in your clients, amongst your staff, but then also, increasing the business value in that case. So it's a win-win any way you look at it, I think, in that case. All right.
So now let's talk about how automation works inside a bigger strategy. So we talked about three different automation tactics. And so the what to remember here is that these are just tactics that help us to save time and to put some automation in our businesses, right? Help us to work more efficiently and effectively. But these things only work inside of a bigger strategy. So we talked about how especially if you're sending emails that discuss the next steps for your client or for your new lead. Well, that presumes that you have thought about what the next step is. You've thought over that client journey. How are they going to go from where they are now when they meet you to being successful in the success that that you've laid out? What are the steps? What's the path that they take? So
Yeah.
this automation, this one email automation that's going to tell them the next steps is just part of a bigger strategy. So we don't want to create small automations that fail um, because they're in isolation. It's part of the whole system, right? So we're looking at these automations as really they're an execution tool. They're part of your implementation, but they're not the full strategy.
Mhm.
So that's one thing that we want to make sure that you remember. And Nate likes to say, we don't want to be doing random acts of marketing around here, right? So we
Right.
also don't want to do random acts of automation, do we? So that's
Exactly.
that's what we want to guard against.
Yep. Same situation. The automation is going to fail if you haven't thought it through properly. And, you're probably not going to use it if it doesn't really apply to your outcomes and your overall business strategy. You want it to reinforce things and to make things simpler and smoother for your business, you're not just building an automation just because you heard it was the latest thing to do, right? There's a
It's
path
because
here.
it's cool and it's
Yeah,
fun and it's trendy. And
yeah, yeah.
it's like, okay, yeah,
Maybe you've heard that
ultimately
it's going
that
to improve your
trendy,
life, but
yeah,
you're not
it
sure
wears
how.
off.
You know?
Right.
Yeah,
It's like, how
yeah,
does it actually fit into your life?
yeah. Um, so you got to have that strategy because that's going to help you determine what matters in your business, right? This is going to help you to figure out making business decisions and mapping that out, thinking that through is just going to kind of reinforce that, right? And your systems are defining how this is going to work in your business. So you
Yeah.
are removing friction from the system by using automation. That's the idea. Okay, so
Uh,
the examples. You have something else?
Well, going into the examples, so
Yeah,
these are some practical examples of how um, how we don't want automation to work in your business, right? This is why we
yeah,
need it to be part of a full system, right? So say you're sending follow-up emails, but you don't have a clear sales process that this email fits into. Well, now it's just noise. Now you're just confusing your new clients.
yeah, yeah. You're just doing it for the sake of doing it without really having a plan or a reason why, right?
Right.
Um, or perhaps you're scheduling your content without a having a real good strategy in place for messaging, and so it kind of creates inconsistency, maybe some cognitive dissonance, like why are they talking about this? It doesn't make sense. Like they talked about this other thing in the email that I just got, but
Right.
over
Or
here
it
they're
didn't
talking about something
connect with
different.
that
Like
thing over there that they talked about last week, you know?
what is going on with this place? Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're this disorganized with their own marketing, my gosh, I don't want to put them, trust them with mine, right? So,
Exactly.
yeah. Or maybe the notifications that you're creating, for example, there's no sense of prioritization. And so it just ends up being like an annoyance, like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that again, delete, get that out of here. Uh, I just been sending those to spam, you don't want that to happen. That's not a good idea. You want those to be impactful. There's a reason why this person or yourself are being notified of this. So that you can take action, right?
So you can take action and go to the next step.
Yeah.
Right.
So thinking about it from a leadership perspective here, you should really need to decide on what gets automated based on your growth priorities. Do you want to grow first and foremost? In what direction do you want to grow? What does growth look like? Lots of different things you have to think through beforehand and it's kind of like working your way backwards. What is it? Stephen Covey. I'm always coming back to this, like beginning with the end in mind. The seven habits of highly effective people, right? One of them is beginning with the end in mind, thinking of the goals for your personal goals, maybe your business goals, working your way backwards. Then, okay, if I want to get here, what are the steps I need to take to get there, and work your way back, until you've gotten to the point where, okay, so this thing we can automate, right? Because it's a thing that has to get done. It's a task. It's repetitive in nature. It's a good candidate for automation in that case. Boom. All right. One less thing you have to worry about. Um,
A good question
but
to ask is not
yeah,
necessarily what to automate. It may be what needs more leverage in
yeah,
my business
yeah.
right now. Where can I
And
where can I inject some leverage that's what's taking up too much time, what's repetitive, what's inefficient. Um,
yeah,
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 where do we need more help? And then
yeah.
we can
It's
talk
not,
about
we don't want you
what's
just to kind of,
be automated.
just because we're giving you ideas here on what you can automate and implement right away, may not actually be good for your business. You
Right.
know?
So you need to decide like where yeah, where would this even fit in my business? Because if this is not where if these the tactics that we talked about today are not necessarily the type of automations that would work in your business, then don't use them. Look at other ways to leverage, to inject some leverage into your business. Um, I think sometimes it's not automation that you may need. Maybe it's delegation.
Yeah. But what almost certainly what you need is to have a process and a system in place for figuring that out so that it minimizes the amount of, cognitive load that it takes to make that decision. You know,
Absolutely.
um, and that's the kind of stuff we work on. So if you need help with that, by all means, get in touch. I will help you think that through.
Absolutely.
Um, so anyway, let's get to the V3 system here, tying it in. Visibility. Um, is going to help determine if you're thinking about visibility, how can I be more visible? How can the people in my business have access to the information they need when they need it, right? Their internal visibility, if you will. You've thought that through. That helps to determine what messages you need to be sending consistently, right? Whether to your audience out there, the people that, your ideal audience, your customers that you want to reach, or people internal, right? Which, by the way, are technically also customers, people internally. So thinking
Yeah,
of it
they
that
are
way is probably a
stakeholders.
good
Absolutely.
way to think about it. Um, and then viability. Think if you thought through how can I have a more viable business, that's going to help you determine which processes um, would be ideal to run without you having to think, without you having to remember to do it, which is, a prime candidate for automation. But again, it's not just you're not just thinking, well, what can I automate today? You've thought this through based on your priorities, your business goals, and that kind of thing, right? You've worked your way backwards. It's not just kind of scattershot. And then valuation, thinking about how can I build a more valuable business. Um, that your business value increases when you have automation in place that supports the repeatability of your of your systems that you've documented, right? So having all that in place means that you have a more valuable business. I guarantee you. uh,
Wonderful.
yeah. All
Okay,
right.
so we're about to get out of here, but let's recap. Let's look at um what we want to, our mindset really should be having that, putting automations in place in our business as part of a full system, and that automation would support clarity and making things simpler, supports clarity, efficiency, and speed in our business. So we talked about taking one content piece and repurposing it into multiple posts, multiple content pieces. We talked about having every new subscriber, every new customer, they get a clear next step when they join, when they come into our world, and also automating what automating um, notifications that come to a human once somebody takes a high intent action in our world, so that nobody drops through the cracks, right? Nobody goes unnoticed, and the money doesn't get left on the table. So
Yeah. Yep.
what we want you to do is to take a look at your business holistically. What are your goals? Where do you plan to go? What's your exit strategy? Um, what's hitting that? What's getting you hitting that ceiling of growth? And if you need help to figure that out, we are here to help you. And we are available on a weekly basis for calls. We will help you. We'll help you take a look at what's going on in your business and diagnose where you need to go next. We may talk about automations as well.
Yeah.
So,
Probably will.
anything?
It'll probably
Yeah,
come up, I'm
we
guessing.
probably will.
But anyway, yeah, that's great.
Anything
That's
else in
great.
closing?
No, I think take the growth ceiling assessment if you want to get started. The links in the notes there, the description, and yeah, book a call with us, and we'll be happy to talk you through it. So yeah, thanks once again.
Awesome. So, if you have learned something today, we want you to put it in the comments, and we will see you next time. I'm trying to click the button and the button won't click. Anyway, bye. We'll see you next time.